Today's 12 Days for Good act was all about joy, giving joy to the people around you, to the people in your community. And I think that there are so many different ways to do that. But the way that I'm choosing to do that is by doing something that is incredibly difficult for me and something that's very personal. By reaching out to someone that I have a really, really strained relationship with. And if you don't follow my vlog at all, then you won't have any of the backstory. So I'll just tell you briefly that my son, my oldest child, who's 14, comes from a previous relationship and one that's been over for a number of years, but the conflict from that relationship is definitely still here. And his dad is not in a good spot. He's been an addict for a long, long time, and so his family has, had to deal with a lot. There's been a lot of enabling and that sort of stuff, and it got to the point where my son actually had to say, I'm not going to put myself through this anymore. The way that, the stuff that I have to go through and the way that I'm being treated, I can't do it. So he hasn't seen his dad in a little over 6 months, and there's a lot of anger towards me over that. His dad's parents, who his dad lives with, are very, very mad at me and actually, saying really awful things about me, which is it's kind of weird. If you're someone who wants to be liked, it's weird to have people say really nasty things about you, but at the same time, they're going through a lot of difficult stuff with their son, and I kind of get it. But all the same, because of the history and because of interactions that we've had where they've really, come after me personally, and because there have been things that have happened with my son, every time that I even think about, having to deal with them, my body just flushes with adrenaline, and it's like a fight or flight response that I have to the whole family, basically. So my act today is to contact my son's grandmother and see if there's any way for them to get together and see each other around Christmas, because if I don't do this, they won't. I can feel it. It's in this part of my arm. That's where I usually feel it the worst. Hi, it's Jane calling, and Margaret, I just wondered if you have time over the course of the next week, if you would be interested in coming in and maybe grabbing a hot chocolate with Noah, and I'm just arranging to see him before Christmas. So you can certainly give me a call. So there you go. That's it. It might not seem like much. If you've been through a nasty separation or divorce as a child, a parent, or anyone on the outside of it, maybe you can sympathize a little bit with why this situation is so difficult and why it's really hard to pick up the phone and try and talk to people who really violently hate you. The situation has taught me a lot about being okay with being disliked, but it's still not easy at all. And, it's not the end of the world if my son doesn't spend some of the holidays with this part of his family, but it's about more than that. For me, it's not just about Christmas. It's about letting them know that the possibility of a relationship still exists. It exists in a very different form than they may want, but it's there and it's really worth nurturing. So that's something that would bring me a lot of joy, and I hope that it's going to bring someone else some joy too, but we'll see. And I'd love to hear what you've got to say about that, or about any of the good deeds that you do on a day-to-day basis. If you'd like to post that in the comments below, that would be absolutely excellent. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Check out 12 Days for Good, and thanks very much for following along, and I'll talk to you again really soon.